Your hero section is the first thing a visitor sees when they land on your website, and it can really make or break their impression of your brand, so you're probably going to want a good one. In this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step how to build the perfect hero section using Elementor Page Builder. I'll show you the 2 best layouts for your hero sections, and then I'm going to design an example of each. And along the way, you're going to learn to build some really cool components, including dual buttons, working with absolute positioning, scroll animation, and even this nifty outline text effect. And by the way, all the templates I created in this video are completely free to download for a limited time. Just click the link in the video description. And with that, let's get into the video.
First off, we're going to do the 2-column hero section, which is the one I think I see most often around the internet. And first, let's find a good example of this. So I'm just going to drag this over here. So here's an affiliate platform that I use. It's called LinkMink. And you can see this is just a classic 2-column layout. They have about a 2/3 column here with the headline and the call to action, the opt-in form. And then they have just a simple image here in the right column. So we're going to recreate this design just a little bit cooler. Let me just name the page. All right, and we'll edit with Elementor. And the first thing you can see is that we have our sidebar getting pulled in here, and we definitely want to be working on a full width page to see how this is going to look. So just go to settings and page layout. We're going to go to Elementor full width. All right, and now we can start designing. So first up, we just need to create a section, click the plus icon here, and we'll choose 2 columns because that's what we're building. And we can just adjust the columns for now. I think this is gonna be about right. I'm just gonna eyeball it. And let's add a background color. I'm gonna do a gradient. So we're just gonna grab color number 1 and color number 2. And we'll mess with the angle a little bit. And we're just going to add some padding on this so we can start to see what it's going to look like. So let's start with maybe 60 pixels all around just for the start. And actually, I think I want that reversed. So let us something like that. All right. And we'll drag in a heading here, paste in some text. Now we can actually copy the typography exactly from LinkMink if we want. I'd recently published a video on Chrome Inspector, so if you want to learn how to use this tool more in your own design, I'll link it right up here. But all you have to do is right-click in Chrome browser, and you can see we're on this H1 element here, and we're just going to go to computed and font family. It says Public Sans, and the font size is 60 pixels. So we can use that in our own layout. So we're going to go right here, typography, and we'll say Public Sans, which is a Google font, and we'll make the font size 60. Just like it is on that website. And I believe they're using an extra bold, so we're gonna make it bold. And we can make it an H1. Next up, I'm gonna grab another heading. We're gonna do a subheading here. And we'll adjust the typography here too. I'm gonna change the text color to white. Public Sans again for the font family. And we're gonna make it maybe 300, kind of a lighter weight. And we're just gonna adjust the size down. Let's go with something like 25 pixels. Next up, I'm gonna make 2 buttons quick. We're gonna do inline buttons. They're doing an opt-in form, but since I'm doing an opt-in form on the next example, we're gonna do a button here. For the button size, let's start with large. They never look exactly how I want, so I'm gonna have to do the padding, sort of a custom job here. And I already know the values I want. I'm gonna do 17 on the top and bottom, and 50 pixels on the left and right. And I'm gonna have border radius. Let's try 5 pixels border radius. And let's just add a hover effect that's a different color there. So let's try like a dark blue as a hover effect. And then we're just gonna duplicate this button. Actually, I'm gonna make it an inline block because we want these buttons to sit next to each other. If we, for example, if we just duplicate this here, you can see they're gonna sit on top of each other. So let me delete that. I'm gonna edit this, go to advanced, and under positioning, you can make this under width and inline auto. And now you can see that the block is only as wide as the button itself. And now if we duplicate this, they go side by side. So we're gonna turn this one into a ghost button. So I'm gonna make a couple changes here. Under the styling, let's make the background color transparent. And we're gonna give it a border solid, let's say 5 pixels white. And you can see because it has a border, the actual button itself is basically the same height as this one, but because of the border, it's taller. So we need to decrease our padding this button to compensate. Actually, let's try a border of 3 pixels. And I'm gonna do 14 and 14. All right, that looks about right to me. And I don't want this hover effect on the background either, so we're gonna take that off. Just reset that, just the box shadow. And I'm gonna edit this first button and unlink the margin values, and we're just gonna put some margin on the right and left, just to get some spacing between them. All right, I think that looks quite good. And next up, all we have to do is drag in the image over here. And I've already got an image picked out. And let's adjust the size because that seems a little bit big. We're gonna make this the default 300 pixels. And if you wanna get a little crazy, you can add a scroll effect. So we're gonna do motion effects, scrolling effects, and vertical scroll. We're gonna make it go up when you scroll. And we're also gonna make it go to the right. So it'll move sort of up and out of the frame as you scroll because it's a rocket, kind of cool. And because this is a rocket, which is up in the sky, let's do a shape divider for our section here. So we'll go on the bottom. We're gonna do clouds, flip that. Nope, we're gonna invert that, right? That's what we want. So this is the clouds, but honestly, this looks a little bit cheesy for a business. So I think maybe I'm gonna go with the mountains instead, which is kind of a similar effect, but looks a bit nicer. And you can play with the height to get it looking how you want. And we'll just add some padding to make some more space here. So we're gonna unlink these values and let's try 160 pixels of padding on the bottom. And if you wanna get this image exactly where you want it, you don't have to leave it centered in this column if you want. We can position it absolutely. So you click on the image here, we're gonna go to positioning, absolute, and then you can literally just drag it. So we're gonna anchor it to the right side and the bottom side of its container. So that's what we're anchoring it relative to. And then you can set this offset here to move it around. But you can also literally just grab the image and move it exactly where you want it to be. So we'll stick the rocket right there. And then as you scroll, kind of goes up out of the frame. Kind of cool. In order to preview this, I'm just gonna have to make another section down here just so there's space to scroll down on the page. So we'll just give this a minimum height just to take up some space on the page. And now when we refresh the page, I think that looks quite good. All right, so that is the 2-column layout hero section. Let's move on to the 1-column. One of the ones that I've come across that I really love is from socialtriggers.com. And I just think this looks awesome. So we've got sort of a gradient background. We've got this hero image. And under that, we've got the call to action. You click this link and you sign up for the email list. And then you got this cool scrolling outline text behind them. And we can actually do something like that too right here. So basically we've got 2 things we have to do. So first we have to build out this main section, and then we've got to build this box here and then adjust it with negative margin so it sort of sits between these 2 sections. So we'll add a section, 1 column. And for now, just because I'm working with it, I am going to, we'll just add a bunch of padding in here. So we're gonna do, let's say 100 pixels of padding on the top and bottom. And we'll do 50 on the left and right. So right away, let's set a background here. So we're gonna go to style, background, and we're gonna do a gradient. Color number 1, we're gonna use this one. And for color number 2, we're gonna use this. And then the angle sort of down across this way. So we're just gonna eyeball it. Next up, we're going to add this text. So we're just gonna use a heading and let's do build that. We're gonna center it. We're gonna need to make this size quite big, and let's change the font to something like, I don't know, Roboto, and we'll increase the font weight substantially. And then we're just gonna ramp up the size here until it looks about right. Okay, in terms of doing this funky outline effect, I believe he did this as an image, I think. There are some Elementor add-ons that have the ability to do outline text, and I will link those in the video description below. I also have a tutorial on how to do this on my website, which I'll link up. But I'm just gonna do the CSS method really quick because I don't have any of those add-ons installed on this site. To do this, I'm just gonna add a class to this, and that's not necessary, but I'm gonna add a class anyway. And we're gonna call it outline. If you wanna write custom CSS in the free version of Elementor, all you have to do is drag in an HTML widget. You can put it anywhere on your page. And then all you have to do is put 2 tags style, and then you can write your CSS rules between them, and it'll work just as if you were loading a style sheet. So this is called like inline styles. but I'm using the Pro version, so I don't need to do that. I'm just going to go to the advanced version here. I'm going to go to custom CSS, and we're going to write our selector. So we wrote the class outline. So I'm going to go .outline because it's a class, and we're targeting the H2 element. This is an H2 element, as you can see. All right, so we've got our selector. We're targeting the outline wrapper class that we just created, and we're targeting the H2 element inside that. And the rule we're going to put, it's something called WebKit text stroke. I'm just going to paste that in there. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a 2-pixel stroke on it, and then the color I'm using is an RGB color. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to set an opacity also, so that it's not like totally in your face. If I set the opacity to 1, it's going to be like really bold. So I just want to have that 0.15, I think. And then the next step is you just have to change the color itself to transparent. So all you see is the outline. And for now, we can maybe ramp that up a little bit. We'll see how subtle we need it to be. And I'm maybe just going to duplicate this, create another one. Let's change the text to website here. And then under the second one, I'm going to unlink the margin values, and I'm just going to make the top margin negative to sort of pull it up. Let's see how Derek does it. So they're overlapping on his site. So we can just keep pulling that up. And let's add our hero image. So we are just going to plop this right in here, right underneath. And I've got this one all picked out, this hunky dude right here. And right now it's going underneath everything. And that's not really what we want. We want it to go sort of over the top of everything. And one way you could do that is you could use like negative margin to pull this up. So you could do like negative 500 or whatever, and it would go up like that. And that technically will work. What I actually want to do is I want to make it position absolute, so it's completely out of the flow of the document and it's not taking up any space on in the parent container. So we're going to go to positioning. We're going to make it position absolute. And as you can see, it immediately, the parent container goes back to sort of its default sizes if the image wasn't in it. And next up, we just need to adjust the size here. So let's try, we'll do a custom size for now. We're going to try 400 pixels, and we might need to do, let's try 500. So we are going to line this guy up right in here. And let's see, positioning, what do we set to? So we want to set the vertical orientation to the bottom of the container. And I'm going to show you a little trick. Since it's aligned to the bottom of the container, now the difference between the bottom of the image and the bottom of the container here is actually equal to the padding. So if you can see here, we have 100 pixels of padding on the bottom. So if we go back to our image and positioning, we can just set this bottom offset to minus 100 pixels, and it will sit exactly right there. Now you can see it's still a bit too tall, so we actually need to make this section taller. So let's add another 200 pixels, and we're gonna have to move this image down. So positioning, and we're gonna move it to minus 200 pixels on the bottom there. And if we wanna get super fancy, you can see how the text scrolls there. We could actually do that with our text. So we're going to go to the heading, and let's try motion effects, scrolling effects, vertical scroll, and just see what happens. Let's turn the speed down a little bit. All right. And then we'll just grab the second one, motion effects, scrolling effects, vertical scroll. And that one's going to scroll too, but they actually are supposed to, let's see how this works. Basically, the top one scrolls away from the bottom one. So we need to set the scroll speed even lower than the other one. And it's going to move away just gradually. So that's what we got. All right, next up here, we're going to do this call to action. And if I inspect the code here, right here, I can see that this is actually being pulled up from the section below. So it's not actually part of the hero section. So we can build it like that. And we're just going to create a new section down here. And we're going to drag in an intersection. And we're going to delete one of these columns because we don't need it. And this is going to be our little call out. So first, let's set the width of this. And I'm going to try, what does Derek have it as? You go computed 950 pixels. So we can make this 950 for our inner width there. And then we are just going to make that a color. So I'm going to go to our inner column here, and under style, I'm going to give it a background color. And I'm not going to use the exact color he uses. I'm going to use this nice green, drag in a heading, drag in another heading that we're just going to make paragraph text. And I'm going to change that to a P. And then we need a button. Everything's inside our little container here. Let's add some padding in this column. So I'm going to unlink the values. And again, the padding is the spacing inside the element. So let me close the navigator. And we will try, I don't know, 80 pixels top and bottom and 50 pixels left and right. Actually, we might want to maybe amp that up to 60 left and right for now. And then we're just going to center this text. So go center, center, and center the button. So first off, let's put some text in here, and we can do a little bit of typography. We're going to make this rubato. Amp up the boldness, transform to uppercase, give it a color, and we could pick up the size just a little bit. The paragraph text, and I'm just going to throw some Lorem Ipsum in there as a placeholder. And then our button, Derek has this as a near full width button. It's basically the same width as the heading, and there's a bit of border radius. So let's make this a full width block. And under advanced, we can just put some margin on the other sides. So we'll put, say, I don't know, 30 pixels of margin left and right. That will just sort of pull it back in. And you might even need a little bit more. So we'll say 40 pixels left and right. And you'll probably need to adjust this on mobile devices, but we're just doing this for desktop right now to save time. And under style, we can give it some padding. So we're going to unlink these. And top and bottom, let's go, I don't know, let's try 18 pixels for now. And we'll give it some border radius. And that hover color is kind of horrendous. It's just annoying me. So make it blue. And I just want to tone down the padding on the top here. And then all we need to do is put on that, we just need this funky little shape divider. So we're going to go to our intersection here, style, shape divider, bottom, and we're going to do the tilt. And let's see what's going on here. If we flip it up, we need to bring it to the front. There we go. Bring it to the front. And we can just do like so. And all that's left to do is pull this whole section up. So we're actually not going to mess with the outer section. We're going to move this inner section. That's what I want to do. So we can just go to advanced and unlink the values here. And under margin, we're just going to go yoink and pull this puppy up. Now, I think you maybe have noticed a problem that we're having here. And that's that this is getting pulled behind the image. And the reason is because this image is positioned absolutely. So by default, everything that's positioned absolutely floats over other things that aren't unless they have a Z index specified. So we actually need to give this parent container, let's see. I think this outer section needs to have a Z index first. We're going to go to advanced and let's just give it a Z index of 2. And yes, that magically fixed it. So it's not the intersection that we're adjusting. It's actually the parent container. This main section down here needs to have a Z index, and that will pop this right on top. And if you want to get a little crazy with this, we could go back to this parent section up here. And under the, let's see, style background, we could do a video background. That would be fancy. And we just need a nice overlay. Now, I realize this is a little over the top, but just stay with me. So we're going to do a background overlay and we're going to do a gradient, let's say. And first color, we'll do this. And second color, we'll do like a something close to black. And then we just need to amp up the opacity here, just so it is like sort of subtle in the background. And we can change the angle. And one last little tweak. If you notice when you scroll down here, Derek actually kind of sinks down into this opt-in box, so we can put a motion effect on this image too. So let me select the image, go to motion effects, scroll, vertical scroll, and we're going to have them scroll down. And that's all you got to do. And now when we preview, oof, is that snazzy or what? Right? All right, now just as a quick reminder, if you do want these free templates that we've built here, you can get those. There'll be a link in the video description. I'm gonna give those away for free for a limited time. And also, if you want to learn anything else about Elementor building websites, check out this playlist right over here where I'm gonna show you more cool stuff you can do with Elementor. All right, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.